Another moment went by, and I was just waiting to hear the gun go off. I mean, like you would see in a movie, I was waiting for it.
And if I lose it, we're going to not only lose the 3 people in the water, we're going to lose this vessel, and 26 people are going to die.
That's when he grabbed me by the back of the neck and held out the knife and said, "I'm sorry, but you have to come with me."
Maybe he's a drug addict, maybe he's cracked out or something, and he's, possibly going to just say screw it and start shooting. I was 23 years old, young ball player, minor league ball player for the Houston Astros, trying to make my way in the game. Every year I go to spring training and head off, pack my bag, and get everything I need for, 5 or 6 months on the road.
It was actually my first spring training after a full season, and we're staying at a hotel, and the way the hotel is set up is it's kind of a rectangle, all the doors open to the outside.
So you could park in the parking lot and, see the doors and see who's going in and out. Every single room was filled by a ball player, 2 ball players to be exact. You had a roommate. So it's like a dormitory atmosphere. And really, come 7, 8, 9 o'clock, you see a bunch of guys, doors open, guys going in and out of rooms and just enjoying, being young.
5 or 6 guys are just sitting in the room, doors are open, watching baseball highlights of the day's games. Out of my peripheral vision, I saw that something just wasn't right. I saw a gun, and I saw 2 guys with ski masks. And my initial reaction was, is this a joke? Are there cameras? They came in, and they've just very calmly said, "Everybody get down on the floor with your face down." My heart just sank, and I was scared. It was something that you definitely realize very quickly that we are in a lot of trouble. This is for real. He said very calmly, "Put your hands behind your back." He took our wrists and our ankles, pulled them together, and then tied them. You can't believe it. We're getting hogtied. We are getting hogtied in a hotel room in spring training. What is going on here? They asked, "Okay, where's this stuff?" And so people were telling them, "Okay, we got a CD player over here." I had said, "I have money in my pocket." And he came over, and I'm face down, and he put the gun to the back of my head, and he said, "Are you a hero?" And defeated, I said, "No, man, I'm not a hero." And he's like, "Yeah, that's right." And then I heard them taking just the blankets that we have, regular hotel blankets, and he started throwing the blankets over each one of us. And I immediately said, "They are going to shoot blankets." That's what he's doing. He's doing it to eliminate the fact that this is a human being. I was just waiting to hear the gun go off. Like you would see in a movie, I was waiting for it. I was like, wow, I can't believe this is the way I'm gonna die.
Fishing was slow, but we had really bad weather. We had about 50-knot winds for 3 days coming out of the northeast, and the weather was really sloppy. Seas were ranging from 20, 25, 30 feet. I wanted to make really sure that everybody was secured, the vessel was secured. We closed all the hatches because I knew we would be taking water. We took a wave on the starboard stern quarter that was very, very hard. Uh, it sounds like about maybe a quarter stick of dynamite when it goes off because it's a solid impact hit. Shakes the entire vessel. I knew the crew was going to be just furious because that means everybody's chasing their plates across the galley tables and food's going all over the place. They'll call upstairs and start yelling, screaming. He, matter of fact, he told me, he said, "Captain, there's smoke down below." So I looked at him and I said, "What kind of smoke is it?" He said, "Well, it's smoke. It's just heavy smoke. It's black smoke." And I said, "Black smoke?" And he said, "Yeah, it's black smoke." I said, "Well, can you give me a better definition of it?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "Like the smoke that's coming out from behind the chart table right behind you." And I looked immediately to my left, and then I looked immediately over to my right, and I see smoke coming up from underneath the carpets by the walls, and it's starting to come in and fill the wheelhouse full of smoke. This, I knew, was something we had never dealt with before. It's already reached 3 levels up on the vessel, coming up underneath the wheelhouse, from the walls, around the carpets, and so I immediately turned and I locked on the general alarm. And you're out offshore, a couple hundred miles on a vessel that's 190 feet, you're the fire department. You're everything, and we have to take care of this. And then from a distance far off, somewhere in the vessel, I heard this whoosh, and I went, "What was that?" And then we had a very large explosion.
This old man came in and asked where the restroom was, so I pointed him in the direction of the bathroom. He had gray hair, he had facial hair and glasses, and he was fat and creepy. He was in the bathroom for quite a while. He came out, he left. There's been creepy people in the store before. They'd come in, they'd get what they needed and leave. I mean, I was at work. I thought I was safe. About 4 o'clock, the old man came in again, and he walked in, he went straight to the restroom, and I went about my business. And then about 20 minutes later, he had come out and he went over to try to get beer. So I went over to tell him that he can't get beer at 4 o'clock in the morning. He said, "Okay," and I grabbed it and I put the beer back where it goes. And that's when he grabbed me by the back of the neck and held out the knife and said, "I'm sorry, but you have to come with me." The knife he had was like a kitchen knife. It was like this long. We walk up through the next alley, across a church parking lot, and then through some backyards until we got to the back of an apartment complex. And he told me that if I said anything, that had hurt me. And so I kept quiet and I kept walking. I was terrified. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what to do. I was scared he was gonna hurt me. So I listened. I did what he said.
As the blanket fell on me, it just kind of hit sideways. And I just remember, snaking until I could get the blanket down to about my eye here so that they could see all of my blonde hair. Because I wanted them to know that you're not going to be shooting a bunch of blankets. You're going to be shooting a human being. And then instead of the gun going off, I heard, we'll be right back. And I could hear the door open, and right at that point, I thought, this is it. He's gonna shoot us. This is a trick. Moment passes, nothing. Another moment, door shuts.
I'm sitting on the bed reading a magazine, just really relaxing, thinking about what I'm gonna do the next day. The door was kind of cracked open. I didn't shut it, I shut it a little bit. It was still probably open a foot. And next thing you know, I saw a hand go on the door and open the door wide open. And then there was two guys in ski masks. Right away, they said, "Where's your wallet?" He went over, got it, took all the money out. I don't know, maybe there was $150, $200 in there. Then I hear the guy that was kind of the lead guy, the head guy, say, "Why don't you take him into the other room?" And this just really confused me. I had no idea what was going on. He grabbed me, put the gun to the back of my head, and started to walk me down to the next room, Morgan's room. He tried to open the door. It was locked. And he seemed a little confused about that and immediately put the gun right back to my head and walked me back into my room and put me face down on the bed. They started kind of mumbling. I really couldn't hear what they were saying. Obviously, they were saying, the door's locked, they're free. At that point, they started to get a little bit agitated. Have my, face on the bed, thinking this is a bad situation and I could end up really hurt or possibly dead.
I had no idea where the explosion was. It rocked this vessel. This is a 1,600-ton, 190-foot vessel. And the next thing I know is people are screaming, "Man overboard." And I see three of my people in the water with the prop wash from both of these great, big, huge propellers. We're churning 7 or 8 knots, probably half throttle. I see my deck boss, I see my assistant deck boss, and I see my first mate in the water. These are the guys that I depend on every day of my life while we're at sea. These are the most trained, the most experienced. This is my A team, and they're in the water. They're treading water in the Bering Sea at 42 degrees. Their life expectancy is minimized now to 5 to 10 minutes, and I'm still making way, regardless of the fire, regardless of the smoke. The priority at this point is to get these 3 guys back on this boat. I turned to look back at the wheelhouse, and I saw the smoke was pluming, going up into the air 200, 300 feet. The wheelhouse was completely black. It's pouring out of every orifice on this boat, and I've got to get back into this wheelhouse and clutch this thing out. In other words, I've got to take it out of gear. The first breath that I took going in, my lungs just seemed like they collapsed. They just stopped. My throat closed, and I remember just kind of grabbing my face, grabbing the controls, take it out of gear, turn around, get back up the stairs to go back to assist the operation of getting these guys back. And my crew members are standing there like shell-shocked. They were just looking. That nobody's prepared for this. My level of confidence is going downhill rapidly, but I can't quit. I can't stop. I've got to run this crew. I've got to delegate. I've got to get these guys back. And if I lose it, we're going to not only lose the 3 people in the water, we're going to lose this vessel, and 26 people are going to die.
He unlocked the apartment door, and pushed me inside and closed and locked the door behind it. The apartment was like an efficiency. It was one big open room with a little kitchenette next to it and a bathroom off of it. It was dirty. There's like newspapers all over the floor and buckets piled up and writing all over the wall. And then he had pictures taped to the wall. He told me to get undressed. It pretty made it clear what he wanted. And he raped me. After he raped me, he apologized and said that he's sorry he did what he'd done to me, that I am a beautiful woman and I shouldn't let any man hurt me ever. How someone can say to not let anybody hurt me when he's put me in the position he's put me in angered me. I was mad and scared. What if nobody knows I'm missing yet? And if they do, what is my mom and my dad thinking? I thought about if I would die, what they would do or what they would think or if they would find me. Or if they don't find me, then what?
When I look up, I see Eric on the phone. He is calling next door to his roommate, Aaron. And he gets on the phone and he says, "Hey, is Aaron there?" And one of the guys who held us up picks up.
The guy that was kind of the leader picks it up, doesn't say anything for a couple seconds, and says, you know, he's in the bathroom right now, he'll call you back. And he hung up.
Eric looks at me and says, "They've got Aaron." I grab the phone, and then I immediately dial 911.
The guy that was kind of in the lead gets at the front of the door, and he all says, okay, we're gonna walk out single file line. We're gonna make sure nobody's gonna run, nobody's gonna do anything, don't try nothing stupid. And as soon as he opens up the door, you see the cop cars pull into the parking lot. That was the greatest feeling at the time, to see the cop cars pull up in and to know that, okay, I'm not gonna be leaving this area. And then real quickly, the guy that was in the front, he just went outside the room and jumped off well, I guess it was the second story, onto the ground. After he jumped off, the guy that was holding me pulled me back into my room and put me back on the bed face down. It changed from, oh, this is a nice situation having the cops this close to me, to I'm trapped in here with this guy who I have no idea his life story. Maybe he's a drug addict, maybe he's cracked out or something, and he's, you know, possibly going to just say screw it and start shooting. He kept saying to me, I'm not going back to jail. He wouldn't stop saying it, and that really started to get me scared. I really thought that this guy had a real good chance of, you know, using me as a shield and having a shootout with the cops.
Everything is brand new. Everything is coming at me at 100 miles an hour. and the outside of this vessel is engulfed in flames, shooting 30 feet in the air all the way around the perimeter of the back of this boat. And as this is happening, we're going to drag these guys 1 foot at a time through these flames to get them back up on the top of the boat. I've not made any radio calls. Nobody around us within 20 or 30 miles has any idea we're going through this. And as I'm going back down into that wheelhouse, and I went down in there and I held my breath, and I remember being in there looking, searching frantically for radios. Pitch black, the heat is intense, the smoke, I can't see, I've got a rag over my face, I'm trying to breathe. I get a hold of this one radio, Mayday, Mayday, and I'm throwing up, and the snot's coming out of my nose, and my eyes are burning, and I'm going, Mayday, Mayday. And all of a sudden, it's just the radio cord with the mic. It's already burned off the wall. And at this particular point, another explosion takes place and rocks this boat. The windows went out. All this debris in the air was floating and drifting, and it was on fire. I wanted to just take a fetal position on the deck, which is a very, very strange feeling to have as a captain. And I wanted to just put my hands over my face and just hide and just wish that somebody, just anybody, would take this burden from me, because I knew that I was the only person. I knew that they were looking to me for how are we going to get out of this. And I just turned around and I started screaming at the crew again. We're gonna make this. You follow my lead. You stay focused on what I'm telling you. We're going to make this. And in my heart, I already knew, as a captain of 25 years fishing in the Bering Sea, we're not gonna make this. Not one of us are gonna survive this day.
He told me that he had been watching me for some weeks, that he knew the vehicles that had taken me to work, and he knew certain ways I've worn my hair, or specific people that would come in and talk to me. It was creepy. He said that cocaine was his drug of choice, and his only way to get a high is through sex, other than doing cocaine. I wanted to go home, and I asked him. He's gonna let me go. He's gonna let me go, and he's gonna kill himself. And he just kept drinking, and he's like, as soon as I get up the nerve to do what I gotta do. He made me read things that he had written on the walls. Like, his dad took away his life, like his career, and his children, and his family, and the army. There's just a whole bunch of junk just written on all over the walls. He said that he had just gotten out of prison, I don't know, a couple months before that, and that he was in there for domestic abuse. He went over to the fridge and grabbed a beer, and he went and grabbed another knife, and he walked back towards me.
We heard a knock on the door. Hadn't heard any sirens, hadn't heard anything. And it was a police officer. And he had said, go, 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 go downstairs. We're all sitting there, and then we're watching now as there are two police officers at the second level, right next to Aaron's room. And they're just pounding the door saying, open up, open up.
And he tells me, tell them I'm gone. So I would say, he's gone. And they would say, well, if he's gone, open the door. And then he would tell in my ear, say, tell them you'll open the door if they leave. So I said, I'll open the door if you leave. And he said, is he in there? And he said, tell him I'm not in here. I said, no, he's not in here. Well, then open the door. This kept going on for I don't know how long, 10, 15 minutes. And at that point, I thought, wow, this is the help? Just to open the door. This can't be right. You know, I'm thinking, where's the SWAT team? Now I'm starting to think about the offensive and start to maybe think that, you know, I'm gonna fight back. It's amazing amount of adrenaline that starts to build up in you as you start to think that you're going to do something like this. I pulled my head back and I grabbed for the barrel of the gun. I quickly got a hold of it a little bit, and then he yanked it a little bit away, and I grabbed for the barrel of the gun again, and I got a complete good grip onto the barrel of it. So in my head, all I was thinking of was control the barrel of the gun, make sure it's not pointing at me. I was a wrestler back in the day, so I said this, I'm gonna use my wrestling skills and I'm gonna go right to the ground and put the gun right on the ground. And that's exactly what I did. Oh my goodness, I have the gun. What do I do now, you know? Where do I go from here?
And I'm screaming, where's Jerry? Where's Jerry, my first mate? And they said, we lost him. We've lost him. And I went, what do you mean we've lost him? I said, where is he? And I looked over the stern, and Jerry was there. And I looked down at him, and I'm screaming at him. He was swimming with one arm, kicking with one leg. And as he turned sideways, and he just looked at me, and his eyes rolled up in the back of his head, and the white foam came from his mouth, and he died. There was no way that I could help him. But I knew I couldn't quit. I knew I couldn't give up. The problems are getting worse. We're going to lose this vessel. I still haven't made a radio call. We have one survival raft on the right side of the boat up on the top deck. We have another survival raft on the left side of the boat up on top of the back deck, but it's totally engulfed in flames. The boat's continuing to blow up. We've had an explosion now about every 3 to 4 minutes. There's a major explosion, and things are coming apart at the seams.
I had that awful feeling in my stomach the entire time I was there, and the second I seen him having a second knife, it got 3 times worse. He kept trying to get me to come sit down next to him, to come near him, and I wouldn't do it. He set the knife down on a stand next to his bed, and he got up to go get a cigarette, I think. And that's when I grabbed the knife. And he started to come towards me, and I panicked. I didn't know what to do, so I stabbed him. I got him in the lower chest area, and then I stabbed him again, and in the back shoulder area, and you could feel the knife coming in, getting caught on his skin. And then we end up on the ground fighting for the knife, and so I held it like this, with the blade in one hand and the handle in the other hand, so he couldn't get it from me. I didn't notice no blood when we were fighting until we were down on our hands and knees, and he's trying to get it, and I look down like this, and I see his chest area, and it was like oozing out of his chest like water out of a waterfall. It kept getting all over me. I had it all in my hair and all over my clothes, and my socks were just covered in it. It was very not okay. It was disgusting. And then he hit the back of my head, and somehow he managed to get the knife from me. I look, and there is a fan next to me. So I picked it up, and I hit him in the head, chest area with it. And he stumbled backwards a little, and then he grabbed my work shirt, and I slipped it off over my head. And that was when I ran to the bathroom and shut the door. It wouldn't lock, so I sat with my back against it. It was terrifying to sit in that bathroom not knowing if anybody is coming, if anybody knows where I'm at, if he has the ability to actually get into the bathroom. What would happen if he did get in? He started yelling, talking about how I'm starting to really piss him off. That if he really wanted to get through the door, he could bust down the door at any moment.
He had all his weight on me, and then I jump squatted him against the wall and proceeded to land on his chest. His back was on the ground, and my back was on his chest. And both of us had our hands on the gun, so we were basically, on the ground, gun pointed at the ceiling like this. Finally, I realized the smart thing to do was to absolutely start yelling at the top of my lungs for these cops to get in here.
The first officer took the butt of a rifle and broke the glass that was next to the door of Aaron's room. The second officer jumped in, and you can hear him saying, "Put the gun down! Put the gun down!"
He came up right above us, said, drop the gun, drop the gun." He probably said it 5 or 6 times.
Finally, 6 bullets, pat, 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 pat. And we just sat there. Aaron's dead. We were certain of it. Aaron's dead.
I need to make a communication, so I've got to go back in the wheelhouse yet again. I had search and rescue radios Velcroed to the ceiling of that wheelhouse that I hadn't used for years. And I reached up and I found one of those radios, and then I said, "Mayday, Mayday, Mayday, this is the fishing vessel Galaxy." A voice came back over that radio as crystal clear as if that individual was in the room with me 2 feet away. And he said, "Galaxy," he said, "this is the Coast Guard Loran station. Handheld radios are typically good for about 20 miles at best." That radio transmission went 35 miles, which to me was a divine intervention. I said, I've made radio transmission. They know they're coming. They're coming. So we're going to have to abandon ship. You just need to follow what I'm saying, but they're coming. And another explosion takes place, and I get launched right off the top of the boat, and I go 25 feet down below, and I land on the main deck. I remember laying there, and it was this sound of bacon frying in a frying pan. It was just sizzling. Mirak and a couple of the others rushed to me to get a hold of me and pull me out of the flames that were coming through the front of the boat. It seemed like maybe 15 or 20 minutes, and I heard somebody screaming, "Dave! Dave! Dave!" And I looked down through there, and 20 feet below me, the raft is coming by. And there's people in the raft, so apparently they made it off the back of the boat. I just started screaming, "Do you have everybody? Do you have everybody? Yes, Dave, yes, Dave." And that raft was drifting probably at 5 or 6 knots. It was going very, very fast. Steve, right next to me, jumped up and dove from the top rail 20 feet in the air as hard as he could go to get to that raft. And they pulled him inside the raft, and they just disappeared. I watched them, and it was quiet. Mirak says, Captain. And I looked at him and I said, "What, Mirak? Are we gonna die today?" And I said, "Yes, Mirak. We're gonna die today."
He came beating on the door, trying to get in, talking about, "Open the door, let me in, just open the door." It was terrifying. It scared me. Every time he'd say anything or do anything, it scared me. The next thing I know, somebody's pounding on the door, talking about, "This is the police, open up." And I hit the wall and I screamed. And then I heard the police screaming at him, "Get on the floor, get on the floor." And then somebody tried to open the bathroom door. That was when I moved, and the lady cop led me out of the apartment. And they looked at the surveillance video and seen that somebody had taken me. They showed a picture of the man to the clerk across the street, and he recognized who he was. 6 to 8 weeks later, even after taking the morning after pills, I found out that I was pregnant. I thought a lot about when it grows up, and what if it starts to look like him? Would I treat it any differently? But it's part me. I don't care what the other part is. The other part is part me. I hope that there's a day that I can go without thinking about it. I cannot live on my own. If there is an older man anywhere near me, I freak out. I survived because I fought back. I did what I thought I had to do to make sure I was still here today, and I am.
And Mirak jumped up and started screaming at the top of his lungs. And he said, "Captain, Captain." He said, "Lights." He said, "I see lights. They're coming." That chopper came back around again, and I remember that commander of that helicopter and that co-pilot, and they were both grinning. They just looked at me and they said, okay, it's your turn. On the way up in the basket, I was looking at this situation that we just come through, not knowing how we survived that for 2.5 hours, from the time of the first explosion to the time when we're actually being lifted out. I had 3 fractured ribs, and I had first, second, and third degree burns on my legs, my stomach, and my arms. The Coast Guard, multiple times through the investigation after the fact, said that they have no idea how there should have been any survivors at all, that 26 people should have perished that day. I survived because of training. I survived because it wasn't my time to go. And who did they have had I not made it? I was there for my crew and for my vessel. That was my responsibility. That's my obligation. I survived because of those things and my family, and God was there with me.
The officer shot him 6 times and he completely missed me, and the gunman's hand just kind of like melted off the gun. You know, it just came off.
Out comes Aaron yelling, and we ran upstairs and gave him like a big hug, and it was almost like this strange, ironic baseball celebration of winning the championship. And he was the one that actually ended up ratting out the entire operation. Apparently the plan was hog tie us, bring Aaron into the room, and then they were gonna shoot us. After the experience, baseball wasn't as big of a priority in a sense, and it kind of calmed me down, and I realized, man, I mean, you can die so easily, and that's really when my baseball career took off. I don't know why I survived, like specifically, but I do know that I was supposed to survive, and now I'm here.
I survived for a couple reasons. First one being my teammates ripping through their zip ties and being able to call the cops to come. And the other reason is my tenacity and will to live, and the determination in my heart to come out on top and to not have my life taken from me.
And surrogate father to her children.
It's a big sigh of relief because men tend to shy away from that.
But now she's been missing for 3 days.
For her to just leave and not tell anyone was highly, highly suspicious.
She was on medication for several medical conditions.
The clock is ticking.
The family were putting up flyers.
They do a whole social media campaign.
The search will reveal buried secrets.
She's started dabbling in some kind of sexual fetish. She's been talking to a number of men on dating apps.
I was basically blind to everything that was going on.
But can detectives find her before it's too late?
Her phone started moving towards the Everglades.
They see a white pickup truck pull in and just sit there.
You know, the dumpsters here, they're for construction debris only.
There are garbage bags in the back.
November 7th, 2021. In this city nestled between the Atlantic and the Everglades, Everyday life in Fort Lauderdale, Florida is never far from the water.
The reason why Fort Lauderdale was dubbed Venice of America was because of the waterway.
Fort Lauderdale is a beautiful city with plenty of palm trees, beautiful weather, plenty of beaches, and beautiful people.
But this Sunday, one of those people has suddenly gone missing.
On November 7th, Ernest Gordon called into the Broward County Police Department to let them know that he had not seen his wife, Wanda, in 3 days.
Last time I saw her was Thursday when she left for work.
When he came home that night at 6 p.m., she's not there.
Ernest said he wasn't worried at first.
Initially, he thought maybe she's with her friends, maybe she's blowing off steam.
But then she didn't come home at all that night.
And she didn't show up at work on Friday.
That's when he started to get worried.
Ernest had been constantly calling her, texting her. She was not responding.
I'm afraid something's happened to her.
She would never just leave without notifying anyone.
Ernest Gordon was Wanda's second husband. The 42-year-old mother of 4 had married Keith Morris when they were both teenagers.
When I first got with Wanda, I was 16 years old. You know, we were kids. But I actually admired Wanda from a distance at first. Every time I seen her, it's like she had a beautiful smile that lit up a room.
Once they were together, Wanda and Keith wasted little time before starting a family.
She became a family woman, and at the end of the day, it always was family first.
You have someone who is very attentive, very loving.
But going from teenagers to parents put a strain on their relationship.
She used to get me to do a lot of things, you know, that I really didn't feel like doing, but it's like we always argue.
Wanda and Keith eventually split up.
It was hard, you know, with the separation.
But the couple didn't divorce until after Wanda started dating Ernest Gordon.
They met while Wanda was working as a school crossing guard.
How you learn to handle all them kids?
Well, I do have 4 of my own.
4?
Yes.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yes, and I love each and every one of them.
Usually in the dating pool, if a woman has children, men tend to shy away from that because that's responsibility. And so typically we as women, when we find a man that takes interest in us and our children, we're thinking, yep, this could be the right man for me.
Soon the two were seeing each other on a regular basis.
She meets this man who not only does she fall in love with, but he falls in love with her, he falls in love with her children, and most important of all, her children fall in love with Ernest.
He was very good to them.
3 years after her separation from her first husband, Wanda was ready to take a second chance with Keith's blessing.
I said, I see you happy, so let me go ahead and divorce you so you can get married to who you really want to be with.
Once her divorce was final, Wanda and Ernest married.
Ernest steps up. He takes on the children, especially the youngest, as if they were his very own. And it's a really nice, tight-knit, close family.
But now, the woman at the heart of that tight-knit family is missing, and no one has heard from her in 3 days.
I'm afraid something's happened to her.
An operator with the Broward County Sheriff's Office dispatches investigators to their home to file a missing persons report.
When police show up to interview Ernest, he's visibly upset, he's distraught, he's concerned.
He told them what he told the dispatcher over the phone, that he hadn't seen Wanda in 3 whole days.
Her purse is gone, and I can't find her phone.
The fact that her purse, her wallet, and her cell phone was missing may be an indication that she left on her own free will and that at the moment she did not want to be found.
Although how she left is unclear.
Ernest told detectives that Wanda's car
was parked outside.
You think someone gave your wife a ride?
I don't know.
Even if nothing happened and Wanda was fine, Ernest says she can still be in danger.
His wife was on various medications that she was taking on a daily basis.
She had a number of medical conditions. She had seizures. She suffered from depression. She had blood clots.
But according to Ernest, all of Wanda's pills are still in the cabinet.
And so with her being without her medication, there's a huge concern.
If she doesn't take her medicine, she could get real sick or worse.
They only had so much time to find her.
Had made a fresh start with her second husband, Ernest.
It takes a special type of person to take on another man's children and raise them as if they were his own.
But now Ernest has called the Broward County Sheriff's Office to his home to report that Wanda is missing.
No one had heard or seen Wanda in 3 days.
She didn't have her medicine with her when she disappeared. So this is really troubling to Ernest.
But it's unclear if something had happened or if she'd left of her own accord.
It doesn't look like anything unusual happened in the residence.
But her purse and her cell phone were also missing.
However, if Wanda left, she may not have been alone.
Her car was in the driveway.
You think someone gave your wife a ride?
I don't know.
But what Ernest says next adds an entirely new twist to the investigation.
Any idea if your wife was seeing someone else?
Well, to be honest, I'm not sure.
Ernest reveals that they were separated. They were still legally married, but separated and living in the house together.
It's my fault. We had a really good thing going, but I messed it up.
A year ago, Wanda had caught him cheating.
They're still living together because they want to have a united front for the children.
Ernest says that wasn't the only reason he stayed, though.
Ernest was on the page of, I want to fix this. I want to make this work. I have seen the error of my ways.
But he admitted that Wanda wasn't ready to believe him, much less take him back.
According to Ernest, that's why he wasn't at all concerned when she didn't come home Thursday night.
Maybe she was blowing off steam.
Or maybe she was looking to escape from her problems permanently.
You said one of her medicines was for depression, right?
Yeah.
The thought did occur that maybe she had done something to herself.
But when detectives ask, Ernest insists that suicide is out of the question.
Ernest said that there was no way that she had done anything to herself.
I can't believe she'd do that to the kids. She wouldn't want to hurt them like that.
When detectives follow up with Wanda's oldest son, who still lives in the home, he says his mother seemed fine the last time he saw her.
Wanda's 19-year-old son indicated that he had seen his mom on November 4th.
He saw her around 4 p.m. It was, business as usual. Her mood didn't seem off. Nothing raised any flags.
What exactly did she say to you?
We didn't talk a lot. She was on the phone.
You know who she was talking to?
Some guy, I think.
He knew his mom was dating after the recent separation with Ernest.
He told detectives that he wasn't sure if Ernest knew that Wanda had started dating again, but at the same time, Wanda was not trying to keep it a secret.
Exactly who she had been seeing? Her son had no idea.
All he knows is that was the last time he saw her.
Wanda's son shared with detectives that when he woke up on the morning of November 5th, he did not see his mother's car in the driveway around 7 o'clock.
Didn't really think anything of it. He went back to sleep.
When he woke up again around 8:30, he saw the car in the driveway.
So, Wanda's son had gone to her bedroom to check on her.
Ma, you home?
Wanda wasn't home, and it didn't look as if she'd been home the night before.
It looked as though she had not slept in the bed.
It was as if his mom had not even been there at all.
Her son's account fits with what Ernest told the police.
Ernest said he didn't see Wanda's car in the driveway when he left for work at 6 in the morning. So that leaves 90 minutes where no one had eyes on the driveway.
So someone had dropped the car off in that 90-minute window.
But where was Wanda now? And why would she leave without telling anyone?
Your mom and stepdad are separated, right?
Yeah, it's complicated.
They fight?
Sometimes.
They argued, but there was absolutely never any violence.
Ernest is he's a good guy. He's made some mistakes, but...
You think he had something to do with your mother being gone?
No, not Ernest.
He said he couldn't even fathom Ernest being violent.
Thank you. We'll be in touch.
Hoping to learn more about Wanda's love life, detectives return to the station and reach out to her sister, Lucy.
They spoke to each other not just daily, but several times a day.
She told Lucy everything.
Including things she didn't tell her husband.
So you knew Wanda was dating again?
Oh, yeah. Wanda had been using social media and online dating to try and meet suitable gentlemen.
Wanda's sister was clear that she thought they weren't all that suitable, though.
She had met some guys that were kind of weird.
What do you mean, weird?
It's embarrassing.
She says her sister started dabbling in some kind of sexual fetish, and that a lot of the men that she's speaking to on these apps are also involved in this type of sexual fetish.
What kind of things were they into?
She didn't tell me much, but it all felt strange.
Okay, did she actually meet anyone?
Well, she had been talking to this one guy.
Lucy pressed her sister for details about the guy, but Wanda was a little reluctant to give too many details.
She didn't know the guy's name.
But she did know when they were planning to meet.
Their first date was supposed to be on the night of the 4th.
That was the night that she disappeared.
Wanda Gordon's sister has told detectives that on the night the mother of 4 went missing, Wanda had a date with a man she'd met online.
Wanda and this gentleman that she was preparing to meet with had only been communicating through social media. This would be their very first time meeting each other face to face.
She didn't tell me his name.
Did she tell you anything about him?
Just that he was into what she was.
Wanda seemed excited, but that's really all Lucy knew.
Could the mystery man Wanda met online have something to do with her disappearance?
What happens if they went on a date and that date went bad?
There's always a fear that kind of hovers around online dating and meeting people through social media.
Is it possible that she met somebody? Absolutely. Is it possible that somebody wanted to cause harm to her? Absolutely.
After talking to Wanda's sister, the detectives focus on identifying Wanda's online suitor.
To Lucy's knowledge, Wanda and this gentleman that she was preparing to meet with had only been communicating through the dating app.
Which is where the detectives run into a roadblock.
The detectives had no idea what her username was or her password or even the email that she used to get into the site.
While detectives are spinning their wheels in cyberspace, Wanda's family is on the street, spreading the word that she's missing.
They put up flyers, speak to people themselves. They do a whole social media campaign.
Media outlets began airing the story.
And before too long, their efforts produce results.
After seeing a story on the news, the man Wanda had gone out with reached out to detectives.
His name is Tyrone Watkins.
He was very cooperative, willing to answer all of their questions.
Tyrone confirms that he and Wanda had been messaging for over a month.
He shows them text messages, the normal pre-date flirting.
But did you actually meet?
Yeah, just that one time.
The first time they met was on November 4th.
Tyrone says they met near the beach in Fort Lauderdale.
Now, despite the fact that they hooked up on a fetish site, what Tyrone described was surprisingly tame.
And they hung out and they chatted. And they had a really, really nice time.
But according to Tyrone, that's when he learned that Wanda hadn't been entirely upfront with him.
It's something I really need to tell you.
Wanda revealed to him that she was still married, but planning to leave her husband.
It didn't sit right with Tyrone.
He wasn't comfortable with dating a married woman.
That make her mad?
Nah, she was cool with it.
He says they parted on friendly terms.
Tyrone asked her to text him to let him know that she had made it home safely.
He's being the true gentleman. Make sure that the woman gets home safe.
Tyrone says she didn't actually text him until after 1 o'clock that morning.
By then, he was asleep.
Tyrone said he then texted Wanda later in the morning around 9:20, and he never heard back.
Any idea why it was so late when she texted you?
She said she was going to the beach for a while. She seemed like she had a lot on her mind.
You still have that text too?
Yeah, it's all here.
When the detectives examine Tyrone's cell phone, it appears he's telling the truth.
They confirmed that Wanda sent a text to him letting him know that she got home.
He also shows them a receipt from the parking garage that he was in, and it's time-stamped, it's dated.
And when detectives pull footage from the city's beachfront surveillance cameras, they confirm that Tyrone and Wanda parted ways amicably.
Nothing unusual happened. She didn't seem distressed or disturbed. It was just sort of a normal, nice date.
However, something doesn't add up.
Tyrone says that Wanda was home at 1:20 in the morning, safe and sound, but Ernest says his wife never came home at all. Both stories can't be right.
Detectives needed to speak with Ernest again about the inconsistencies in his story.
So this time, detectives call Ernest down to the station to answer additional questions.
You said she never came in?
Look, all I know is she wasn't home when I went to bed or when I left for work the next morning.
When was that?
I was asleep by 11:30 or so, and I leave for work at 6.
It's possible that she did come home, but he was sleeping.
Since they were sleeping in separate bedrooms, it's likely he wouldn't hear her come in.
So Ernest is standing by what he said.
However, he also has a new lead for the detectives.
Ernest offers up a new suspect, Keith Morris, Wanda's ex-husband.
Look, what I think y'all should do, in my opinion, is look into this Keith Morris. Him and Wanda, they was having custody issues.
According to Ernest, Keith had been acting strangely ever since Wanda went missing.
He says that after Wanda disappeared, Keith showed up at the house.
He's at the door. He wants the children.
I'm just here for my kids.
Right.
I don't want any problems. They're in my house. They're gonna stay in my house.
For the missing mother of 4 should talk to her ex-husband, Keith Morris.
Ernest believes that Keith has orchestrated all of this so that he wouldn't have to pay child support and that he would have custody of his youngest 2 children.
What makes you think that?
He came by the house the day after she disappeared. Told me he wanted the kids.
Give them the kids. They're my kids.
The kids said they did not want to go with their biological father.
According to Ernest, Keith wouldn't listen.
Come on, look, I don't want to do this, Ernest, but just let me have my, you know what?
Oh, you gonna call the cops?
Yeah, as a matter of fact.
Bro, you tripping.
He said that Keith had called the police and demanded they make Ernest turn over the children.
My kids are in that house. This man won't give me my kids.
They are his kids.
He won't even let me see them.
Okay, why don't you take a step over there? Let me talk to the kids. You can bring them out. Let me talk to them. Hey, step over here. Okay, let me talk to them real quick, okay?
Guys, you guys have a choice.
When police officers spoke to the children made it clear that they wanted to stay with Ernest. They had been with him for the last decade.
At this point, Keith left the kids with Ernest, but he did come back with a court order demanding that the kids be put in his custody.
You said he pays child support?
Every month.
He wants the kids. He has motive to get rid of her. It's something that has to be looked at.
Following up on Ernest's tip, detectives asked Keith to come down to the station for questioning.
The question that they was asking was like, when the last time you been around your ex-wife? And I'm like, I didn't bring any type of harm to her.
He said there was a simple explanation for why he asked Ernest for the kids.
We have an agreement through our divorce. If one of the other parent is not here until you find out what's going on, the children have to go with the other parent.
Look, I know my rights. Those are my kids, not his.
But does that mean Keith did nothing wrong?
This pre-existing agreement could have strengthened his motive to want to get rid of Wanda.
Detectives hope that her cell phone can give them the answer.
Detectives subpoena her cell phone records.
They do a deep dive into these records to get a little more understanding of Wanda's steps the night of her disappearance.
Wanda's cell phone data showed that she did arrive home at 1:20 a.m., just as Tyrone had told the detectives.
But she wasn't home for long.
A couple of hours later, the GPS shows that she leaves again. Her phone started moving away from the home again at around 4 in the morning.
Both Ernest and Tyrone's stories might be correct. You know, Tyrone said she was home at 1:20, and Ernest said she may have left before he woke up at 6 a.m. And clearly, the GPS shows that she left at 4 a.m.
The GPS track leads west out of Fort Lauderdale towards the Everglades.
Her phone stopped in a rural area about 4:33 a.m.
GPS shows that her phone is there for a little while, maybe about 20 minutes, and then it shows that it leaves and goes to a different, secluded area.
The phone stays in that location until the battery ends up dying at around 1 o'clock in the morning on November 7th.
Police, retracing Wanda's steps, head out to the place where her phone was at 4:33 in the morning.
It turns out to be a large and well-secured construction site.
There are surveillance cameras everywhere around this construction site.
The owners did not want anyone coming out there stealing their equipment.
Well, after about 15 minutes, a Florida Wildlife Commission officer pulls up behind the pickup.
The Florida Wildlife Commission officer actually gets out of the car.
The wildlife conservation guy has a conversation with the guy in the white pickup truck. That's all documented on film.
Then they both leave the area.
The white pickup truck heads out, heading in the same direction, the same route. That Wanda's phone is, according to the GPS records.
Detectives reach out to the Florida Wildlife Conservation and are eventually able to locate the officer in the video.
When they asked him to come in and talk to them, the wildlife officer said that he approached the truck on a suspicion of illegal dumping.
He says that he assumed that that is what this gentleman was doing because he saw 3 large garbage bags in the bed of the truck.
He actually took a picture of the bags in the back of the truck.
Then he let the man off with a warning.
The dumpsters here, they're for construction debris only.
He had a conversation with the gentleman about illegal dumping. The gentleman stated that that's not the reason he was there. He said he only came out there to clear his head because he had some things on his mind.
And based on what detectives learn next from the wildlife officer, they suspect that what the man had on his mind was murder.
All right. Drive safe.
Thank you, sir.
The driver was Ernest Gordon.
Wanda Gordon's disappearance have traced her husband Ernest to the same location as Wanda's cell phone at 4:30 on the morning she disappeared.
They have an eyewitness that puts Ernest at the scene, but Ernest told detectives that he was home sleeping all night long.
The lie isn't all that makes Ernest the prime suspect in what police now believe is a homicide.
The location where a wildlife officer approached Ernest was on the edge of the Everglades.
Unfortunately, at this point, the police are no longer looking for a missing person. They're actually looking for Wanda's body.
And detectives have a pretty good idea where they'll find it, too.
They had the GPS information from Wanda's phone.
The last known location of the cell phone before it died was a very swampy, wooded area in Tamarack, Florida.
Despite the difficult terrain, the searchers soon find something.
They find a black cell phone. They find several articles of clothing. They find red and black dreadlocks that actually match the dreadlocks that Wanda used to wear in her hair.
They also note an odor foul enough to pierce the pungent Everglades air.
Looks like probably something in there. See how you have a lot of that decomp stuff around there?
You could possibly smell the decomp depending on how long she's been out there.
Tracing the odor to its source, the searchers start to uncover human remains.
It's 1 of 2. The other one's over here.
Eventually, the gruesome search yields more remains.
They actually found a human jawbone and a skull.
The detectives assume they found Wanda, but the autopsy is unable to confirm it.
Just looking at the skull and at the jawbone, the medical examiner thinks that they belong to a female. But unfortunately, there's so much decay that they can't say for certain that these are Wanda's remains.
Whoever she was, the autopsy revealed how she died.
The medical examiner discovered a large fracture on the side of the skull and determined that this was the fatal wound.
However, before they can charge Ernest with murder, detectives will have to confirm that the remains are Wanda's.
They had to secure DNA from Wanda's daughter.
However, the results would take some time to find out if there was a match.
While they wait, the detectives attempt to put Ernest closer to the location where they found the remains.
They contact the Tamarack Police Department and they ask them if they can review traffic cameras.
Since it was deep in the swamp, there weren't any cameras in the close proximity where the police found the remains. but there were several in the broader vicinity.
Wouldn't you know it, right there, on tape, about 5 miles from the dump site, there's Ernest's truck, captured on camera.
However, there is one thing the camera doesn't capture.
The garbage bags are no longer in the back of Ernest's truck.
It looked like Ernest was engaged in a little illegal dumping after all.
To strengthen the evidence further, detectives also subpoena Ernest's cell phone records.
Police take a look now into Ernest's GPS to see if they can trace his movement to that particular location.
During the time that Wanda's phone was moving, Ernest's phone was not moving. In fact, his phone was still at the house.
They figured that he deliberately left his cell phone home to throw off the investigation.
However, the records also reveal that on the following night, Ernest neglected to leave his phone behind.
Ernest had traveled to the exact location where the remains were found at 11 o'clock that night on November the 5th.
Was he checking to make sure that the body was not visible, was not in plain sight?
For him to go back to that location showed that he knew where she was at. It showed that he was involved.
With proof putting Ernest at the location where the body was found, the detectives bring him in for another round of questioning.
We just want to go over your movements on November 4th and 5th.
Okay, but I already told you guys everything.
Everything?
But then he remembers something he hadn't told them.
When they asked him about the Florida Wildlife Commissioner stopping him that evening, he stated that he had forgot that he had gone out.
He claimed that he was just driving around to clear his head.
Then he said he went straight home.
You didn't stop and throw anything away?
What do you mean?
According to the wildlife officer, you had some garbage bags in the back of your truck.
He's got an answer for that, too. He says, oh, those bags were from some landscaping I had done.
He said he threw them out a few days later.
You sure about that?
The police keep putting pressure on Ernest.
Officers informed him that his pickup truck had been caught on a traffic camera.
And eventually, Ernest starts to crack.
I don't know. I don't know anything. I don't know what happened.
When detectives confront Ernest Gordon about the suspicious drive he took to the Everglades the night his wife Wanda disappeared, they believe his response is telling.
He breaks down, he's devastated, he's crying.
But Ernest's tears aren't followed by a confession.
I don't know what happened. Look, I don't know anything.
In spite of all of this evidence that they are presenting before him, he maintains that he does not know what happened to Wanda.
He didn't admit that he killed her. He didn't deny it. He basically just had no explanation.
Instead, he stops the interview and asks for an attorney.
I want a lawyer.
They say, is it because you had something to do with your wife's disappearance or death? He refuses to answer.
Detectives are sure they found Wanda's killer. All they lack is proof that they found her.
The remains, the skull and the jawbone, haven't been identified yet.
They have no confirmation as to who that body was, so they had to let Ernest go.
But even as Ernest walks, the detectives keep digging.
Officers have enough evidence to get a search warrant for the Gordon's home and also for Ernest's white pickup truck.
They searched both using a chemical called luminol, which reacts with blood under black light.
They find blood. Lots of blood in Wanda's bedroom.
The luminol test also finds blood in the back of Ernest's pickup.
It revealed traces of blood in the same area where those 3 trash bags were located, on the back of Ernest's truck.
Between the blood, cell phone records, and other evidence, the detectives develop a clear picture of how the crime most likely occurred.
They had a theory that Ernest was actually up waiting for Wanda to come home, knowing that she had been out on a date.
Wanda returned home from her date around 1:20 in the morning, and Ernest was waiting. And Ernest was mad.
Stop! I know what you've been doing. You've been doing business. What I'm doing. I'm not gonna tell you.
They got into an argument over either the divorce or the infidelity, her moving on and going out and dating other people.
He was not able to handle the fact that she was out seeing other people.
So, the situation escalated.
Don't you walk away from me!
Ernest had lost control. Not just in the heat of the moment, he lost control over how Wanda saw him when the infidelity happened.
And desperate to regain it, he lashed out.
Ernest must have picked up a blunt, heavy object and hit Wanda.
He hit her on the side of the head, which was fatal.
Once he realized what he did and that she was dead, he tried to cover it up.
And now all detectives need is the one piece of evidence to tie everything together. Wanda's DNA.
On December 9th, the results are in, and it shows conclusively that the remains found in the swamp are those, unfortunately, of Wanda Gordon.
An arrest warrant was issued for Ernest. He was taken into custody the very next day.
He's charged with second-degree murder.
As a trial date approaches, Ernest faces reality.
His lawyer came to me and told me out front that he doesn't want to go to trial. The agreement was that in return for a guilty plea, he would be sentenced to 50 years in Florida State Prison.
It's also essentially a life sentence.
He is in his 40s, so he will be in his 90s when and if he ever gets out.
But no matter how long Ernest spends in prison, it doesn't ease the pain of losing Wanda.
You took somebody away despite the ups and downs that me and her had. You took somebody away that was dear to me and my children.
The family's going to be feeling the fallout of that.
She was a straight-A student with a bright future ahead of her.
Alicia wanted to be a lawyer. She wanted to go attend law school.
She was somebody who would always go the extra mile.
And he was willing to go the extra mile for her.
He describes her as his baby, his first love.
They had that young puppy love going on.
However, this teenage romance wouldn't stand the test of time.
Fire rescue cope, what's the address of the emergency?
Hey, somebody stop.
He's in a panic. He's very frantic.
He just keeps telling them, I have no idea what happened. He just walked in and found her.
When police begin their investigation, there's no shortage of suspects.
When police ask him, why were you outside of her house? He tells them that he was looking for his girlfriend.
During one of their recent off periods, she started dating someone new.
They start to realize that things aren't adding up.
My recent post.
Now we all know that high school, it can be messy.
He seemed like a good kid. We were astonished.
Love during the teenage years, it can be a beautiful thing, and it can also be very dangerous.
July 5th, 2019, Jacksonville, Florida. Summer vacation is in full swing in the Sunshine State's largest city.
You will be hearing fireworks celebrations going on for days before and after the 4th of July.
Jacksonville is probably the biggest, smallest city that you'll ever see.
Even though it is the largest city in the state, you do get that warm feeling that, you know, you are around people that make you feel like family.
But around 1 p.m., a desperate 911 call comes in to the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office.
Fire rescue code, what's the address of the emergency?
Hey, somebody stop.
The 911 caller begs for help.
He's in a panic. He's very frantic. The operator has trouble understanding what he's saying because he's all over the place emotionally.
Please, come on, please, right now, man.
He had to be calmed down by the 911 dispatcher.
Okay, we're getting help started. They're coming as fast as they can. Listen to me carefully. How old is she?
No, she's 17.
The caller eventually calms down enough to say that his name is Tremaine Robinson, and he's found his girlfriend, Alicia Poe, shot in her home.
Okay, did somebody shoot her?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, where is that person right now?
I don't know.
He says that he didn't see anything. He doesn't know who it was, that he just came back to the house and found her that way.
He says that she is bleeding and he's clearly distraught.
Is she awake at all?
No.
Okay, is she breathing?
No.
As first responders race to the scene, dispatch tries to guide Tremaine through life-saving efforts.
Okay, what I need you to do is if you could get a clean, dry cloth or towel and place it down firmly.
He then used his sweatshirt to apply pressure to the wound.
But Tremaine's girlfriend is barely clinging to life. Will help arrive in time to save her.
Right here, bro. She's back. Come on, bro. I need to do something, bro. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Come on, bro.
17-year-old Alicia Poe was warm and inviting to everyone around her.
She was absolutely gorgeous, just beautiful, had such a big smile, and she made everyone around her smile and laugh as well.
Alicia, she was very popular. I'd go up to school and kids would just approach me and they're like, "Are you Alicia's mom?" And I'm like, "Yes." She just had a heart of gold and never met a stranger.
Her family and friends described her as somebody who would always go the extra mile, as somebody who was always there for her friends and very polite.
A rising senior with excellent grades, Alicia had big dreams for her future.
Alicia wanted to be a lawyer. She wanted to go attend law school. She really enjoyed watching Law and Order. She was very into forensics and things of that nature. She always would tell family members, if you ever need any help, I'm going to law school, so I'll be able to, actually represent you.
For someone that young to consider a career in law says that she's driven. She's already focusing on her future. She actually sees herself in a way, not just where she is, but where she knows she can be and what she can do to help others.
To save up for college, Alicia got a job at a fast food restaurant.
From the first day she started, her manager thanked me. They were like, she's so respectful. She even got Employee of the Month. I'm like, wow, she's really doing her thing.
Alicia's boyfriend, Tremaine Robinson, secured a job alongside her.
He was also an employee there. They started off just being friends, and then as time went on, that friendship blossomed into a teenage romance.
Tremaine was also a high school student, but at a different school.
So how'd you do on that test?
Oh, nailed it.
Tremaine Robinson was a straight-laced kid. He got straight A's in school. He received honor roll.
Oh, our shift's about to start. We better go inside. You want the last fry?
Yes, please.
They had that young puppy love going on, and they both had bright futures ahead of them.
But now, Tremaine has just made a frantic 911 call, reporting Alicia has been shot.
Right here, bro. She's shot. Come on, bro. I need you to do something, bro. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Come on, bro.
It was hard to understand what had transpired because he seemed frantic.
He just really wants emergency crews to come as soon as possible.
When first responders arrive on the scene, they know time is of the essence.
They found the victim in her bedroom, in her bed, suffering from one gunshot wound.
Tremaine is visibly upset, as any 17-year-old would be in that situation. And he tells police, I have no idea what just happened to her.
Obviously, the first responders' first priority is to try to see if they can save the victim's life.
But they quickly realize it's too late.
She was pronounced dead at the scene.
Time of death, 1:13.
This has officially become the scene of a homicide.
Rising high school senior Alicia Poe had everything going for her.
Alicia was a good student. She also was the employee of the month at a fast food restaurant. She was loved by all her friends and her family.
Alicia's boyfriend, Tremaine Robinson, shared her ambition and dreams for a bright future.
They had that young puppy love going on.
But now Jacksonville police have responded to a frantic 911 call from Tremaine, who says he found Alicia shot to death inside her home.
First responders try and save her, but it's too late.
Time of death, 1:13.
When they tell Tremaine that Alicia's dead, he becomes highly emotional.
Tremaine just keeps telling them, I have no idea what happened, that he just walked in and found her in that position.
Do you know where her parents are?
I think they're at work.
He is distraught. He is crying his eyes out. He is just uncontrollable.
All right, son, let's get you out of here.
Police do need to receive an official statement from Tremaine Robinson, but he is so upset that they take him to the station so he can get calmed down first.
While Tremaine is transported to the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, homicide detectives arrive to begin their investigation.
Her room was a little disheveled, but nothing out of the ordinary for a typical teenager.
Alicia's phone is still laying on the bed. They notice that flat-screen TVs are still in place in the home.
Those big-ticket items that could be missing if somebody were to break into the house suggest that this was not a robbery.
So they concluded that this probably was someone that knew her and targeted her.
It's a theory supported by the way in which the victim was killed.
The gunshot wound is to her face, specifically close to her eye.
When you have an injury where someone's shot in the head, it really just reflects the callous nature of how the incident took place.
And a closer look at Alicia's body yields another important clue.
There was stippling around the area of her bullet wound.
The stippling on the wound indicates that the shot was fired from close range.
The person that did it obviously stood over her and shot her.
Whoever shot Alicia had a complete and total disregard for this beautiful young lady.
As detectives continue mulling over the crime scene, Alicia's mother pulls up to the home in shock.
She'd been at work with no idea what was going on at the home.
Once we get to the scene, I'm just pacing, not knowing, what's going on, what happened. I do attempt to reach out to Alicia, calling her phone and texting her phone, and I'm not getting any response.
Excuse me.
Ma'am, I need you to stay on this side of the
Okay,
thing,
but
please.
this is my house.
I'm just being told the lead detective will speak with you.
When detectives emerge from the home to speak with Letitia, they give her the devastating news.
I never forget this. He tells me something terribly has happened, and at that time, I just feel like I was just like Twilight Zone. I'm just in a state of shock at the moment.
I'm sorry, ma'am. We're going to find out who did this.
Do you know anyone who might want to harm your daughter?
This can't be real.
Alasia didn't have enemies. She was beloved by everyone.
Everyone that had encountered her actually would attest to the good spirit that she had and carried with her. She was really, really, really an icon.
Why would somebody want to kill Alasia?
They just did not make sense.
In their search for answers, detectives head back to the station to speak with Alasia's boyfriend.
Hey, are you Tremaine? Tremaine, I'm Detective. Yeah, I think you've already spoken to my partner here, Detective Gupton. All right. Yeah, that is really tough. It's a tough situation to be in for you, you know, but I'm gonna do what I can to kind of get everything solved over here, okay?
Tremaine still seems pretty distraught over what's transpired.
Well, I don't know what's going on, bro. That was my baby, bro. Like, what the...
Detectives try to keep their emotional witness on course.
All we need from you is to tell us, you know, what you saw, what happened, all that stuff, okay?
Tremaine echoes what he told officers earlier at the scene and says he didn't see anything or anyone suspicious before discovering his girlfriend in a pool of blood.
Alasia! Alasia!
He says that he just showed up and then immediately called 911 when he found her.
Hey, somebody stop.
How long have you known Alasia?
For almost 3 years now. Like, 9th grade, when we just getting into the summer, going into 10th grade, that's when me and Alasia started talking.
Since 10th grade, that she was your boo thing?
Yeah, like off and on, yeah.
Tremaine says although he and Alasia had their ups and downs, they'd always end up coming back together.
Sometimes you break up, sometimes you're hot and heavy, sometimes you cool off a little bit.
That tight, and right now, you know, we getting back, like we cool.
Tremaine explained that they had just recently started reconnecting. They were trying to spend more time together.
Being on and off is pretty typical for teenage romances.
When it comes to teenage relationships, it's challenging. Not only are they trying to figure out what's next, what is adult life going to be like, but they still have romantic interests.
At the end of the day, they regarded each other as their first love.
But detectives have to wonder, was Tremaine Alasia's only teenage romance?
Does she have any other boyfriends?
His answer piques their interest.
During one of their recent off periods, Alasia started dating someone new.
That someone was a recent high school graduate named Michael Burke.
Did Michael have something to do with this? Are we dealing with a love triangle here?
Her memorial service was about maybe 400 people or so in attendance. We wanted to celebrate what a wonderful life, you know. It was just a celebration of the times that we had with her. It was beautiful. We did a dove releasing, and she just looked like she was there, you know, just sleeping. And we even had her casket painted as well, and the guy did a phenomenal job. But it definitely was something I feel that she would have been pleased on, and just the support of everyone that was there.
In July of 2019, Jacksonville detectives investigating the death of 17-year-old Alasia Poe are sitting down with her on and off boyfriend, Tremaine Robinson.
Tremaine had just admitted that during one of their off periods, Alasia started dating another young man by the name of Michael Burke.
And according to Tremaine, he and Michael didn't get along.
Me and him ain't okay. He know about me. I'm my boyfriend, like I'm first love.
Now we all know that high school, it can be messy. High schoolers, they like to date around, but jealousy can also be a very dangerous thing.
If there was jealousy, if there was a love triangle of some sort, maybe that ended up culminating in the murder of Alasia.
After speaking with Tremaine, detectives bring 19-year-old Michael Burke in for questioning.
When detectives talk to Michael Burke, he is distraught.
He seemed to really care a lot for Alasia.
Michael, how did it make you feel when you found out Alasia was getting back together with Tremaine?
What do you mean? She and Tremaine weren't getting back together. Alasia was my girl.
He says Alasia and Tremaine were just friends.
Yeah, he was her first love and all, but that was over. She was with me.
So, who's telling the truth here? Both of these young men seem to be in love with Alasia.
When's the last time you spoke with her?
This morning.
When they asked him to kind of, give a timeline, he told them that he remembered talking to her around 11 o'clock that morning for some time.
Did anything seem off?
No, not at all.
Michael says they were chatting until Alasia told him her phone was dying and she had to go. As far as he could tell, nothing was out of the ordinary.
Michael says that everything was fine. It was a typical day. It was a typical conversation.
Michael insists he'd never hurt Alasia.
Never. Never.
Can you tell me where you were for the rest of the day?
I was at home with my parents. You can ask them.
When detectives follow up with Michael's parents, they're able to confirm his alibi. He was at home with them at the time Alasia was killed.
In ruling out Michael Burke as Alasia's killer, an unsettling possibility sinks in.
Detectives have to consider that Tremaine Robinson could be lying to them about his involvement in this. Maybe he's the jealous ex. Maybe he's the one with the motive.
Hoping to gain more insight into Alasia's relationship with Tremaine, detectives circle back around to her mother, Letitia Strickland.
It's a delicate balance because you're still trying to get answers as quickly as possible to solve this case, yet you're still trying to be gracious and understand that this family has had just a very short amount of time to get this news and start the grieving process.
You guys know anything about your daughter's relationship with Tremaine Robinson?
Well, I know that he'll always be her first love, but they've been broken up for some time now.
When the police asked Alasia's mother, is Tremaine her boyfriend, the mother states that her boyfriend is actually Michael Burke.
Her and Michael were inseparable at the time. The chemistry between the two was great. He was very, 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 very respectful, very, very dear. He would do anything for her.
But Letitia says Alasia and Tremaine had remained friends.
She still befriended him, so by her just still befriending him, maybe it gave him hope that they would get back together. And I feel like that's what he was living everything on, just that little bit of hope that was given.
Did you or your fiancé notice anything odd before you left for work? Was there anyone else at the home?
No, Alasia, she was asleep when I left for work at 8 a.m., and that's pretty typical. The last time I saw her, it was the night before.
That night before, she was talking about her senior pictures.
I'm so excited to wear my new dress.
And you're gonna look so beautiful, baby.
She saw that my eyes were getting kind of heavy. She asked me if I was sleepy, and I said yes. So then she was like, well, I'm gonna let you go to sleep.
Good night, Mama. I love you. I love you too.
She just exited the room, and had I known, I would have just stayed up all night if that would have been my last conversation that I would have had with her.
However, Letitia's fiancé George says his last interaction with Alasia was more recent.
While Letitia had to leave for work at 8 a.m. the next morning, George didn't have to leave for his job until around noon.
I saw her outside before I went to work.
And what George says next will send the case spinning in a whole new direction.
Alasia wasn't alone.
She was outside talking to her friend Brandon Clark.
He was seen with her just moments before she was killed. Have police been looking at the wrong suspects all along?
Jacksonville homicide detectives speaking with the parents of 17-year-old murder victim Alacia Poe have learned that she was seen with her friend, Brandon Clark, just minutes before her death.
He was seen with her just moments before she was killed. Have police been looking at the wrong suspects all along?
Do you know if they ever had any sort of dating relationship?
Brandon? No. It was never like that with him.
He's a good friend. They've known each other for a while.
But is it possible Brandon wanted something more?
After wrapping up their conversation with Alacia's family, detectives bring Brandon Clark in for questioning.
When police speak with Brandon, he was very upset that he had lost his friend.
Brandon readily admits to stopping by Alacia's house earlier that day, but his reason takes police by surprise yet again.
When police ask him, why were you outside of her house? He tells them that he was looking for his girlfriend.
She wasn't answering the phone and they're friends. I just assumed they were hanging out together.
Brandon tells them, straight up, I was just there looking for my girl.
Look, I would never hurt Alacia.
He said he only spoke with Alacia for a short amount of time, and he never went inside of her house.
Brandon says once he learned and realized that his girlfriend was not there, he left.
But Brandon says before he left, he saw someone else.
Brandon says Tremaine Robinson was there.
This contradicted Tremaine's story.
Tremaine told police he didn't get to the home until minutes before discovering Alacia's body and making the 911 call.
Did he say anything?
Nah, he just came out and stood there all weird, like he was her bodyguard or something.
Brandon says as he was leaving, Tremaine went back inside with Alacia.
But is Brandon just trying to cover for himself?
For police, it's clear. Either Tremaine or Brandon is lying about their involvement in the crime. One of these young men killed Alacia.
Fortunately, officers canvassing Alacia's neighborhood have just obtained a crucial new piece of evidence in the case.
Sorry to interrupt, but we got something you're gonna want to see.
They've obtained surveillance footage from the home across the street from Alacia's house.
Give us a few minutes, okay?
Sure.
Detectives are eager to get their eyes on the footage.
Just like Brandon described, they see Tremaine Robinson emerge from the home as Brandon and Alacia are chatting. Brandon's story checks out. Tremaine was there earlier than what he told police.
Eventually, Brandon does take off, and they see Alacia go back inside with Tremaine.
The question is, what happened next inside that house?
About 30 minutes later, Tremaine emerges from the home again, without Alacia. And this time, he's holding something.
They see him fleeing Alacia Poe's house and throwing an object into the drain by her house.
Detectives are thinking this must be the murder weapon.
Yeah, I need a dive team on that storm drain now.
After seeing the surveillance video, the police then went directly to the storm drain.
When they go to the drain and look inside to see what was dropped in that drain, they observe a firearm.
They managed to recover the weapon, a .38 caliber Colt revolver, as well as what's left in its cylinder.
When they recovered the .38 Colt revolver, it still had one live ammunition round inside of the cylinder, but it also had a spent shell casing because once it's fired, the cylinder retains the shell casing.
There's no doubt in investigators' minds. This is the gun that killed Alacia Poe.
And there's also no doubt who it belongs to.
They're ready to arrest Tremaine Robinson for murder.
After locating the murder weapon and surveillance footage of him holding it, detectives are certain Tremaine Robinson is the person responsible for 17-year-old Alacia Poe's murder.
They basically caught him red-handed. They had the literal smoking gun. Now they just need a confession.
When detectives sit down with Tremaine once again, they don't let him know that he's under arrest just yet.
However, They do tell him they have proof he was at Alajia's home earlier than he claimed.
What time did you get there?
I didn't check the time. Like, I had just came over because it's really my lady.
He now says he first showed up at the home the previous evening, after Alajia's parents were already in bed.
And then I just stayed the night.
Tremaine was staying in her room. In a way, he was hiding. No one in her family knew that he was there.
Okay, so you're hiding out in the bedroom. Mom gets up. What's mom do today? Mom get up and go to work?
Yeah.
Tremaine says after Alicia's parents left for work, he came out of the bedroom and went outside, where he found Alicia talking with Brandon.
And did you actually talk to him, or did you just,
Nah,
you just let it know that you were there?
Yeah.
Tremaine admits that after Brandon left, he went back inside with Alasia.
So you're in the house, you and Alasia are the only two in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And something happens. What happened?
All I know is I want to go get some snacks.
Go get snacks from where?
A little stove.
Tremaine tells the detectives he walked to a nearby convenience store to buy some snacks. Then he headed back to Alasia's house, where he dropped them off.
So you came back from getting snacks, you go in the house, you put your snacks in the bedroom, Alasia's there, alive.
Yeah.
Tremaine is still adamant that he never laid eyes on the shooter and has no idea who did this.
That's when the investigators decide to take a different approach.
Just so we're on the same page, that's Alasia, right?
They showed him some pictures of her to try to see if that might, motivate him to tell them more about what happened. And when they showed him the pictures, he was very emotional.
He became tearful and said that that was his baby.
I know it's hard, man.
I was supposed to protect them, bro. What the? I was supposed to protect them.
Denial starts to come in. Those moments, I think there were still some parts of him that in his young mind was grasping the fact that she had died. And he was there.
Detectives also show Tremaine a picture of the murder weapon and say they have video of him throwing it in the storm drain.
This is the gun that you had, that you threw in the storm drain. Okay, we recovered it.
So this is where the rubber meets the road.
Tremaine falls apart. He is uncontrollable and he is sobbing. And that's when he decides to tell a new story.
You wanna know the truth? I came back from smoking all that true, and I did have my pole. But I shoot my girl. Yeah, so it just popped.
He says that he had the gun in his book bag. He pulled it out to show it to Alasia. She began to play with the gun.
Hey, be careful with it though.
And then it just went off.
Oh God, Alasia!
You holding it when it popped?
No. She was playing around with it, so I'm like, hold on. And then gun popped off.
Immediately, the seasoned detectives aren't buying Tremaine's story.
You know how the gun works.
Of course I know how a gun works. I'm not stupid. I'm a 17-year-old dude that lives in Jacksonville.
This gun does not go off unless somebody pulls the trigger.
The detectives informed him that a gun doesn't just go off by itself, particularly a revolver. It doesn't go off when you sit it down. It just doesn't shoot. You have to cock it and pull the trigger.
Did you pull the hammer back?
No, I swear to God.
The gun's going to be tested for functionality.
Go ahead.
That's going to show that it works.
Despite the pressure, Tremaine insists that the shooting was an accident.
I was never ever trying to hurt her. I'm some stupid 17-year-old. Just went left. I don't know how it went left, but it did.
Well, look, yeah, because you pulled the trigger on a firearm and caused her death.
Revolvers just don't go off. That's what I'm trying to explain to you, Tremaine.
And I'm trying to explain to you, I know that. But this right here is not no purpose thing.
He tells detectives that he loves Alasia and that he would never do anything to hurt her.
Right, I'm telling you, that is the truth.
Detectives still don't believe him.
With Tremaine unwilling to budge, the investigators decide to initiate a break in the interview.
They're thinking if they give him a little bit of time alone, they might be able to come back and get the confession they want.
And after detectives leave, Tremaine starts to play right into their hand.
He makes a phone call and doesn't realize that he's still being recorded.
Give my Instagram. Delete my recent post.
Detectives come back into the interview room.
Hey, Tremaine, you will not be going home today. All right? You're going to be charged with second-degree murder.
Second-degree murder? What you mean?
Investigators decide to try Tremaine as an adult.
Are you going Fox Street, right?
What is that? That's the grown people's jail or
Yeah.
something?
Can you go to grown people jail?
I'm 17, bro. What you mean putting me in grown-up jail? Like, down.
When Alicia's family learns that Tremaine has been charged with her murder, they're stunned.
I only saw him a couple of times, and he seemed like a good kid. We were just very astonished.
Without a full confession from Tremaine, the motive in this crime remains a mystery. But investigators have their theory.
On July 5th, after Brandon Clark left the home, Tremaine and Alasia got into an argument about their relationship.
You know, they were off and on with their relationship, and Alicia was seeing someone else.
That someone was 19-year-old Michael Burke.
It's possible Tremaine overheard Alasia's call with her new boyfriend, Michael Burke, earlier that morning, but no one knows for sure.
His jealous rage, his thoughts of the victim being with someone else prompted him to do the unthinkable. She had moved on. Obviously, he hadn't.
I know deep down inside, this wasn't an accident.
For that firearm to be fired, someone had to pull the trigger.
With mounting evidence against him and a trial date quickly approaching, Tremaine faces the possibility of spending anywhere from 25 years to life in prison if he's convicted of second-degree murder.
The reason they decide to charge Tremaine with second-degree murder rather than first-degree is because investigators believe he committed this crime in the heat of the moment. They don't believe it was a premeditated crime.
Terrified by the prospect of spending the rest of his life behind bars, Tremaine decides to seek a plea deal.
Instead of going to trial in this case, the prosecution and the defense entered a plea agreement.
The prosecutors and the defense team for Tremaine agreed that Tremaine can plead to a lesser charge of manslaughter with the firearm.
At his sentencing hearing in December 2023, prosecutors pushed for a 30-year prison term, but the judge is more lenient.
The Youth Offender Act for Florida came into play, which says that he can receive a lesser sentence of incarceration based on his age.
When I heard the judge stating youthful offense, I just fell back in my seat because I'm like, you have to be kidding me. Everything was written on the wall, and, of course, his attorney's going to push for that. But we're talking about someone that's right at being an adult, months away. So I feel like it should have just stayed as an adult and that not been considered at all.
Taking into consideration Tremaine's young age and lack of criminal record, the judge sentences him to just 15 years in prison.
Now, for Tremaine, we're sure that 15 years is a lot. For his family, it's a lot. But for those that have to live with Alasia's memory, 15 years is only a slap on the wrist.
He will have a second chance at life, and the hope that you have is that you never see that person in a courtroom again.
I was just in awe. I just couldn't believe it. I mean, why can't we just, get justice? Maybe there needs to be some changes to the system where it's not those loopholes. But I just feel like that's a big loophole.
At the end of the day, they lost a loved one at his hands. That kind of pain doesn't just fall off with years. I know people say time heals all things, but resentment can sit in. Fear that it could happen again could sit in.
You're going to allow this person to come out, and then what if this happens to someone else? It shouldn't happen again.
Alasia Poe's case is just one of those stories that sticks with you. It gets under your skin just because she was so young. She had her whole life ahead of her.
Love during the teenage years, it can be a beautiful thing, and it can also be very dangerous. There still is a great level of immaturity.
I think a lot of teenagers, they don't see the consequences until it's too late.
Just always remember, everyone that, can say they're your friend, they're not always your friend. Don't use the word friend lightly, because there are people, they seem like they have good intentions, but they do not.
Despite their grief, Alasia's family continues to cherish their memories of her loving spirit.
She's still shining through her family and siblings and friends. I see kids and they have